I was feeling all cooped up, so last week we rented this RV and we drove out to the West Coast. I had to talk to my friend Matt. He's like a business partner. So we went out there, and then on the way back, I wanted to stop and see the Grand Canyon. So I had this big RV, and I'm pulling the dogs out and lining them up and taking pictures of them in front of the Grand Canyon, and all of a sudden they were going ape shit. They were acting nuts, and I figured it was a bobcat or something. I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't think the dogs were going to get hurt or anything. It was just like, excited dogs. I didn't want to deal with it. So I put the dogs back in the RV and the air conditioning, and then I was like, well, I'm here. I got Bucket and Remy. I got to get a picture of them. And Bucket, my cat, is trained, and so is Remy. So, Remy will ride on my old lab's back. I mean, he's a few months old there, something like that, very young. My cat, so I'm like, Remy, get on Bucket's back and let me take the picture. So I'm taking the picture, and keep in mind that I'm like concentrating on the dogs. There is like not the dog, but the cat and my bird. There's a real steep incline, a little bit of a cliff. It was safe. It was safe, but I'm concentrating on that and getting the picture. When I took the picture, I thought I saw something run across, but like out of the corner of your eye, and I don't know, I was thinking it was a deer or the bobcat or whatever the dogs were going crazy about, and I didn't think anything about it. Then last night, I'm looking at the pictures that I took because I'm gonna post them on social media because they're cool. And then the one picture of Bucket and Remy, I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is that in the background? It's real small. So I blew it up a little bit. And it's becoming more clear. And then I blew it up again, and I'm looking at it, and it looks like Patty, the Patterson Bigfoot.
Look at that. It looks like Patty.
And for those of you that don't know, you'd have to be living on the moon not to know about the Patterson Gimlin film. That was, I don't know what year that was. I think that was the late 50s.
It's awesome vintage documentation with the 16mm camera. Look at that. You can clearly see the monster walking. It's awesome.
That film, he documented, that was the first time like a Bigfoot had been documented with photography. And he documented the Bigfoot that appears to be in my picture.
See, that looks the same. That looks like Patty.
Doesn't that look like Patty?
For sure, it's clearly a humanoid, but it does. It looks like Patty a whole lot.
The Patterson Bigfoot, to still be alive, the Patterson Bigfoot would be, say the Patterson Bigfoot was 15 or 20 back in the 50s, it would be really, really old. But it's non-human, so it is possible. It is possible that's Patty, the Patterson Bigfoot. A lot of people said that Patterson's film, it was a fake, which is ridiculous. It totally looks real. It looks real, it is real, and they tried to say, well, he's a photographer and a filmmaker and an artist, and they're like, well, he made the costume or something. No way.
No way. You can see the muscle definition. Look at that. No way, it's real. That's a Bigfoot.
No way could you make a costume that looks like that. There's no way.
Look at how the Bigfoot's walking. That looks nothing like a human. No way. That's a Bigfoot, clearly.
Clearly, the Patterson film is more documentation of Bigfoot and Sasquatch, but seeing that quite possibly that's the same Bigfoot.
It looks very much the same. Maybe it's a relative, or maybe it is the same.
It's more proof that Bigfoot is not from this planet, and Bigfoot is, it's brought here it's my theory that it's a biological recording device. and then they take the Bigfoot back up, they download the information about our environment that we live here, and then they might place them back here. That's why we don't find dead bodies, fecal matter. They're not from around here. They don't have to live here. They just come here, they hang out, they soak up all the nastiness of our environment so that the gray aliens know what we're doing to our planet. But they already know what we're doing to our planet. We're destroying it. And that is why Bigfoot is here. Bigfoot is placed here because, listen, the gray aliens are not going to intervene with the coronavirus or the environment. It's just the same thing as like our conservation department in each state going out and studying wildlife. That's all we are to the gray aliens. We're wildlife. When they take us up on the ship and they probe us, it's the same thing as, a biologist going and getting a frog and dissecting a frog, or looking at the frog, tagging a bear and releasing it back into the wild. It's the same thing.
Think of this place as like a zoo, or somebody that is stocking a fish pond. Think of it like that. That's more or less what's going on here. They're in charge of us. They can do anything that they want with us. They own us, essentially. That's how it is.
That looks like the Patterson Bigfoot, does it not? That's the Patterson Bigfoot in the Grand Canyon, which was miles away from the original place that the Patterson film was shot. But I don't think it works like that. The Bigfoot is not territorial. They're territorial for a while, meaning there's Bigfoot back there, right? There's Bigfoot and Sasquatch in this area. But they stay back there, and then maybe they go up to the ship or whatever they do with them, and then they put them someplace else. Or they have the Bigfoot traveling some distance, and that's a theory too, that Bigfoot a lot of times will travel, south for the winter like a bird. That's what people say. Now, I can state for a fact that Bigfoot will live in the cold. They live up here in the winter. They do. They might have some Bigfoot that do that. They might want to use it as a biological recording device and have the Bigfoot travel like the whole eastern coast, but they don't do it along the highway. So they're walking around, drinking the water, soaking up everything. I hope that makes sense. I had no idea that this was on my phone. I had no idea until I just saw this last night. It's amazing.
I was so excited seeing this last night. I could barely sleep. I wanted to get this out today to share this with everybody. I mean, look at that. That looks like Patty, right? That looks like a lot like the Patterson Bigfoot. It's very exciting. Look at Remy. She's so beautiful.